Alrighty, welcome back everyone. It is Laughin' Games here. I'm back with another StarCraft 2 best of 5 between two of the, I think it's safe to say, greatest players of all time. We have got, in the upper right, a killer Protoss, herO. And in the bottom left, it is going to be darK, the monster Korean Zerg player. Very sad. We're going to be losing him to do his mandatory military service relatively soon, so we'll have to treasure all the dark games we can watch up until then. But I genuinely can't think of a better matchup with a better ZVP matchup than darK versus herO. These guys are just so darn good at the game. I will say I think herO's probably the favorite for this match at the minute, but darK is still dark. And so, ladies and gentlemen, before we get too far into this one, make sure to go ahead and click that like button if you haven't already. If we can hit, I don't know, 10 likes on this video. Let's go for 11 likes on this video. That would be amazing. Leave a comment down below saying more bots. Not more bots. Just let me know what you'd like to see, whether you have a favorite matchup or... yeah, I don't know what you think of mandatory Korean military service, that kind of thing. For those of you that don't know, every Korean man, sometime somewhere between the age of 20 and around 30, has to complete a mandatory military service, as that's just the world we live in, I suppose. But yeah, it's a very accepted thing in their culture, and we've had numerous pro gamers over the years play at a very high level, return, and then get back to playing at a very high level. I believe herO's even done his mandatory military service, so darK has pushed his off for quite a while. Unfortunately, I don't believe he can do that anymore, so he will be having to do that. But then, yeah, we'll see how he does against herO in this best of 5. If you're not subscribed to this channel, and you enjoy awesome StarCraft 2 content, go ahead and click that sub button, as this is a newer channel, but I put out some casts of games that are really great. The casting, I'll let you guys decide on, but I can safely say the games that are cast on this channel are usually pretty entertaining ones. That's why I made this channel, to cast entertaining StarCraft 2, and that's exactly what we have here. We're on the Team Liquid map contest map, herO. And yeah, so the maps are a little bit funky for this best of 5. I'm excited to see how it works out. Looks like the adept for herO is shading after a drone, pardon me, does kill one drone off. The Lings are hanging out at the third, which does mean that it's just going to be one queen to deal with one adept. That is not good. Although the adept does cancel its shade. Unfortunately for herO, one adept is not very good at killing drones, but as I say that, okay, there you go. There's darK working some of his magic, but he is only able to save one of those drones. He does end up losing one regardless, so 2 dead drones for an adept just doing some work is a very good opening for herO. That could be a consequence of the map, perhaps. And then just herO being a razor-sharp killer that he is. He's very good with his early game adepts. We even see the adepts the Lings looking for this adept out on the map. They are going to find it. However, the Oracle is out on the map. It may be able to save the adept. We'll see. And that pulsar beam does get activated by herO, so really well done there in order to keep that adept alive. Every unit matters. Now, we're going to have to see darK get ready to deal with Oracle harassment. He has got one Spore Crawler in his main, and then he's going to position his queens at his third or his second base, being the order he took it, and basically that means that darK should be covered against these oracles. Then again, that's only half the battle. herO, if there's an opening for him to get some damage done, he will absolutely find it. Now darK is out on the map with his Zerglings, going to be looking for whatever he can get, and so far he hasn't found anything. He's going to look to pressure the third of herO, but there is quite a few adepts there, and the oracles as well. darK just going to try and bait that pulsar beam out to eat through some of the Oracle energy. But ever since we got the energy recharge ability for Protoss, it really hasn't been an issue. Players being starved for energy. It's just not the way the meta works in this day and age. Although, I mean, herO almost runs out of energy on those oracles. They do so much killing. Getting 6 drones is a massive, massive win for the Protoss at this stage in the game. I was about to say, like, Protoss usually don't find that many attack angles for the oracles, that, like, usually they're more limited by the Zerg defending rather than them running out of energy on the oracles anymore. I mean, when the Oracle first came out in 2012 or whatever in Heart of the Swarm, they'd kill entire mineral lines and run out of energy. But those days are gone. Players are much, much better at reacting to those things these days. And let's see how this is going to go, as now herO's looking to move out on the map. Apply some pressure to Dark with just a small amount of units. But these are timing attacks that I absolutely love, because if you hit your opponent when your opponent thinks like, okay, I'm usually safe at this point in the game, you can get massive damage done. So we've got 3 Adepts trying to shade towards that third, keeping pressure on the Zerg. Dark is trying to replant some of his creep, those 3 fresh tumors. The, I guess I'll say active tumors that could have spread. We're actually cleaned up, so that's a great cleanup by herO to deny that creep spread. Still, though, the Toss isn't exactly pushing out too far on the map. He's got Blink and +1 on the way, but his army isn't that formidable. It's just sort of feigning pressure. So we do see Dark pumping out units right now. He's getting out quite a few Hydras, which is going to give him a nasty Zerg force. So maybe Dark will just be able to counterattack against what herO has if Dark just keeps pumping units. He hasn't even invested in an Evo Chamber or +1 attack. He is making nothing but units right now. Whether it's because he's worried about what herO's going for, or whether he's planning a counterattack, it doesn't really matter. Dark is going to be getting aggressive here, and herO's going to have to defend against that with Stalkers that may not even have Blink. Dark has muscular augments on the way. He won't even have attack range for these Hydras. He fires that up now, but the way the timing's working out, I think Dark is going to have to go for this prior to that. There's no fourth for the Zerg, no +1 attack. He's going to have to do a great job trying to bait out the stasis of his opponent. Looks like he will catch 3 of herO's Adepts. That's quite nice. That's a lot of damage and map presence removed from the Protoss. And the stasis wards, I think, are going to be one of the most important part of this defense. It's like 1 Ling took down one of those. We now see Dark attacking these rocks. Hydras get through them very quickly with their high damage. Hydras have a rather high damage shot, so they do quite well against units with decent armor. Now, Dark is getting ready to go on in. He's got lots of Lings to buffer for these Hydras. Of course, there's the leading Ling or 2 in order to bait out the stasis, and so far he hasn't eaten too many of those stasis wards. There is 1 more to the south. There's more in the mineral line, but Dark is effectively all in with this attack. He needs to make something happen. Stasis wards do get baited out. We're seeing the Robo get worked on now. Stasis and the mineral lines are gone, but there is lots of Hydras on herO's side of the map. They're putting out lots of damage. At the same time, the Protoss army supply is quite formidable. Still, though, the Lings are doing a great job buffering for these Hydras so they can put out lots of damage. They lose vision on the high ground for a second, though, and Dark is just flooding in as many units as he can. herO realizes how dire it is to try and hold this right now, but with probes pulled, with the batteries and the great defensive setup he has, it seems that herO holds that attack. He did lose his Robo Bay, or his Robo Facility in the middle of that, so he can't actually make a Colossus, despite having extended thermal lance on the way. Dark got a few worker kills, but it's 50 drones to, well, herO's almost at 70 probes. So Dark is just going to have to re-up and go for this again, and he may have more success the second time around. The Protoss, he's warping in sentries, he's getting out zealots, but yeah, Dark is going to just have to go for this again. He's firing up 5 drones, which, I mean, is a decision, but I don't think it's really the right one, because like, herO's going to have +1 attack. He's getting out of Templar Archives, a Robo on the way. He's going to have charge. He's investing in a 4th Nexus. This really is going to potentially give Dark a window to make this secondary attack work, although he's out on the map with not all of his units, so some of his Hydras are fighting the Stalkers and not doing that well. herO does micro a little bit to blink after that. Meanwhile, there's an attack on the north side, but Dark splitting up his forces is just a little too weak here, I think. He's investing in another hatchery, but herO is getting out a Colossus. There's quite a few Hydras for Dark, well, but there's only 15 actually. Most of those Lings got cut up, and the Zerg has no choice but to throw up an Evo. This is not a good spot for Dark right now. I don't know how he'd come back in this game. I'd have to guess something like a Nidus. Maybe try to get out an infestation pit or something and pray. He's throwing up a Roach Warren because he figures he needs more muscle in his army, but Dark is in a very rough position. Make no mistake. He went for an attack. It didn't work out. And now herO has successfully got up to 4 bases. And the Zerg is just going to have to try and come out with something here. And I guess I might see a little bit of what players are saying, that Zerg does seem to lack some options in the current meta. I'm not a Zerg player, so I don't have an easy time commenting on it. I also don't have as much, well, I don't watch as much pro StarCraft 2 because I cast every day these days, so that's where I get my StarCraft fill, but that does mean I do miss some of the pro tournaments. I still watch quite a bit these days, though. But, oh no, Dark, he runs in. He does have that stasis ward go off and catches 5 Hydras. There's still a lot of Hydras out for the Zerg, but I mean, there's a Colossus for herO. There's cannons to defend that location. Dark fires up 18 Roaches, 21 Roaches, as he's got plus 1 attack speed on the way for those Roaches, so he's potentially just going to be looking for a Roach max to bring down his opponent. These Hydras could be in trouble, but they actually do get away, as herO doesn't pursue that or sit on top of them. And supplies are relatively even, just the quality of herO's army is way, way better than that of Dark's right now. But, yeah, all I'm saying is that sometimes it can seem a little bit difficult for Zerg to choose what strategy to go for. I did like this decision by Dark. Just herO's defense is so darn good with those oracles and the energy recharge to throw down tons of stasis. We're now getting a mothership on the way for herO. Dark, yeah, I think he's just going to have to outposition herO or something like that. Outposition him, get a counterattack off, something like that. The Infestation Pit could lead to tech that would benefit Dark, but right now both sides are maxed out. There is a big Zealot counterattack going to actually get intercepted by the Roaches of Dark. That's quite nice for him, as looks like Dark is going to actually try and catch and kill these Zealots, which are on the very cool position Xel'Naga Watchtower on this map, and they're just caught right up in the corner. I think that's going to have to be a recall for herO, and that's exactly what he does. But Dark has bought himself enough time in this game with his aggressive posturing that he's been able to max out. herO's maxed out. That means he at least has some chance of taking on this Protoss army, but this Protoss army is so darn scary. 3 Colossus, Archons, Sentries in the mix. Looks like Dark is going to try and dive on top of one of those Colossus. He gets it. At the same time, the Immortal's putting out lots of damage. The Stasis catches quite a few of these Zerg units once more. That's like 6, 7 Roaches caught in it. At the same time, Dark plays a little bit of ring around the rosy with herO's army, which is without support, as there is no Prism with this, so if Dark fights, herO won't be able to get that immediate reinforce, but Dark being off of creep is very, very, well, committed to that fight, so it costs him quite a great deal on the retreat. Still, he's almost maxed out, and these Roaches and Hydras are looking to push herO back. herO's lost some of his damage with his Colossus. Keep in mind, he's investing in Tempest. He invested in a Mothership, which I mean is now going to bolster his army, but it wasn't there during the fight, which was the problem for Dark. He immediately, well, the problem for herO. Now Dark immediately fires up 3 Overseers. herO's got his Prism out on the map, still with some Zealots hanging out, and there's Tempest on the way for the Protoss, but the Tempest is for a very different style of game compared to what Dark is probably thinking of playing. Dark is playing a fast-paced, just trade-out game and sort of just crash into your opponent, whereas herO, I mean, he's thinking of Tempest to slow the game down, get pick-offs to Zerg units. Zergs don't really like to play that game against Protoss all the time, as they know Protoss has got great tools in their arsenal for that. We do see a nice attack hitting this Nexus. I'm not sure if it'll be canceled or not. If Dark can cancel that, that would be great for him, because herO has been on 4 bases for quite a while. Looks like this base in the upper left was canceled, unsurprisingly. Dark's trying to secure up a 5th base for himself. That's going to be quite important, but it's good. He really does need to cancel this 5th of herO if he can. We're seeing the Zerg now get Seismic Spines to potentially make lots of Lurkers, and I mean, we're seeing the Zerg charge on in. Those High Templar do not have Psystorm yet, so otherwise Dark would have been punished immensely there, but Dark does still get the 5th base of herO. We've really got to give it to him. He's made a great game out of this. Like, his opening completely, well, it failed to kill herO, but he slowed the game down enough. He's playing a very interesting to see composition. He's just got mass Roach, Hydra. Now it's going to be a little worse, though, as herO does have mass Psystorm available. He's been great with that Mothership usage. We see Dark trying to split up his army to minimize the storm damage, try and target down some of those High Templar, and he is still fighting against his composition, but there's so many storm for herO, and Dark just taps out. Well done to the Protoss player, just getting to the composition that he needed. And while Dark was able to do a great job of fighting that out, eventually that Roach Hydra composition falls off. He was close to making something happen against herO, but from the position of how behind Dark was, like, his tech was so much later, so he couldn't have really played the high spellcaster game easily against the Protoss. And yeah, a great match between these two. We've now got herO going out for a probe right away, going to be looking to block Dark's natural once more. Just a reminder, ladies and gentlemen, make sure to go ahead and click that like button if you haven't already. Subscribe if you're new to this channel. I've been casting StarCraft 2 for quite a while now. Lots of bot games, lots of AI matches on my main channel, but I should have made this channel a long time ago. But yeah, I certainly enjoy casting this. So we have got that pesky probe blocking the natural Dark. His drone's gonna go, okay, I'll go to the third, fine, whatever, dude. Which is maybe not gonna be great for Dark, as the way Zerg sometimes likes to play on this, or, well, really any race likes to play on this map sometimes, is to go for this gold base, for example. But you can't easily take this base and then go to the gold, so the earliest you could get the gold is your fourth. Instead, we're going to see Dark maybe go for a proxy hatchery or something like that. I think we are going to see that as he finally sneaks a hatch up at his natural. herO did not successfully block that. Dark does throw up a spawning pool and extractor, but he's not actually going to commit to that proxy hatchery just yet, as he did invest that money in his tech. He just really delayed his hatchery as a result of herO's blocking and the bit of mind games that were going on. We see Dark trying to steal herO's gas, just being a bit of a cheeky devil. But all in all, nothing too significant going on. We've got a very interesting pylon positioning for herO, but he actually does let Dark steal his extractor, which is very cool for Dark. That's not something Zerg gets off a lot, but it will potentially mess with herO's build to great effect. I don't even know how Dark was able to pull that off, but that is great. There's not a situation where Toss says, okay, cool, the Zerg can steal my gas. That's fine. Because right now, herO, I think, would already love to have his second gas up. He was even a little unsure of what the best thing to do in this situation was, because it happens so rarely. He was about to fire up a gas at his natural, but it's like, no, that Nexus won't be done to mine from that in time. Maybe I'm just better off killing the one in my main. But in hindsight, he probably would have been better off starting this one. And now the Protoss is going to have a mineral surplus and a gas shortage. We see herO mining this out, so he may be going for a very quick third base. The Protoss will find and kill an overlorded Dark, so that's quite nice, as Dark has his economy delayed a little bit like this. And what else is a Protoss going to do when you force them into a mineral surplus? Well, they're going to throw down a proxy gate, and that's exactly what herO is going for. He is so short on gas, as he hasn't built that extra gas right now. So Dark is going to be really trying to pay attention. He's going to be looking either for a third base or for a proxy gate. And he's got Lings running all over the place. He's like, what is going on, man? What are you doing? And now there's an Overlord heading north. Like, Dark is a little bit suspicious of this. He's such an experienced player that, like, you know the position this puts the Protoss in. The Lings are running in. He sees two extra gateways going up at the front, so he knows it's a two-base play by the Toss, as herO's just going to be going for mass gateway units, it would seem. There is no Twilight Council, no Robo. He's just going to use this proxy gateway and go for a good old-fashioned 4-gate. Two Adepts are going to be shading on in towards Dark's base. Dark did mine out this mineral wall, so he will have the third taken here. But this Overlord is going north, and he does see the pylon on his minimap, so Dark is fully aware of what's going on right now. He's just spamming out Lings, trying to deal with these Adepts, which do complete their shade into the main base. herO should be hitting his Warpins to bring in more units with this, but he's not made any additional Warpins yet, and looks like these Adepts will get cleaned up. Looks like two of them did shade on out there, just a stiff breeze away from dying. We'll see if herO keeps them alive or not. He tosses out a shade because he knows Dark will be looking for those. He needs to at least give them some time to regenerate the shields. Dark is firing up a Baneling Nest right now, though. This is a great spot for the Zerg. herO finally has a Twilight Council done. He's firing up Resonating Glaives right now, but Dark, I mean, he's got so much time to prepare for this. This has done damage to the Zerg, in the sense that Dark has really cut his economy, realizing how much of a threat this is. But there's a Baneling Nest on the way. The Zerg has got more than enough lings to deal with this right now, at least before Resonating Glaives is done. Dark is splitting up his lings, trying to get herO into a bad spot. hero's actually going to commit to this. Now queens and lings are going to fight these adepts, but they actually get quite good surface area on a lot of them, and so that is going to cost herO dearly. And man, oh man, what a great defense so far from Dark. herO only has got 6 adepts out. He's still a ways from having +1. Looks like the Zerg is actually just going to take this fight to the adepts. Dark may actually regret that, as there is just a few too many adepts. So really the first mistake of the game by the Zerg player, and that is a massive boon for herO. Games with mass gateways and Resonating Glaive adepts can completely turn on their head in a moment. And because, I mean, Dark, he's only got 6 lings right now. He's making a few banelings, and he's got a good number of queens. Those adepts are going to shade. They do cancel it. The banelings made herO a little bit worried, though. And now we see herO transitioning, realizing, right, I probably can't kill Dark. He's done good economic damage, keeping his opponent down. I love the Roach Warren for Dark. I'm curious if we'll see potentially an Evo wall get thrown down to keep these adepts out of here. There's the banelings, there's the lings. herO will not complete the shade, though, when there's banelings present. But he is just going to keep the pressure on until this Dark Shrine is potentially done, that he's going for this. The hope is that Dark is so busy making lings and banes that he will not invest in a spore or a lair to have detection against the DTs. Dark is running around with a ling. He's still trying to keep his scout going on. There's a couple of evos going up as Dark's like, enough of this shading buffoonery. herO is mining out his mineral wall as well. This could potentially be a counterattack path for Dark that would actually be quite significant if Dark puts 2 and 2, because he can, in theory, run his lings from his third into herO's natural base. And that would be very disastrous. Any amount of lings, the counterattack would be huge. It's not something you're going to really be thinking of as a pro gamer, but maybe, just maybe, yeah, we do see a ling run forward. It's going to see that this nexus is up, and Dark is going to know that this is open. herO's actually widening the gap right now. He warps in an adept to deal with this ling, but herO should be thinking of this as well right now, so he is pulling his adepts home. He has mined out this middle mineral wall, so the adepts actually get there very quickly. The DTs were actually repulsed. Pardon me for not observing that. But Dark did very wisely invest in a spore, so he minimizes the damage. But this game has been an absolute slog for Dark. He's been having to just pay attention to these adepts non-stop all game. He's been down on workers compared to his opponent, so herO's in an okay position to macro out of this. He's going to have +1 attack and blink on the way, so he can transfer into mass adept blink stalkers if he wants to. Go for a bit of an odd timing like that. All in all, the Zerg has held on, though. There's not really much more you can ask for Dark. And he does have his lings hanging out. He did cancel that Evo. He's going to look to build a new one to prevent the shade. He doesn't successfully do it. He's daring herO to commit to this, though, but he will not in the face of those banelings and roaches. But that's why Dark is going to park this drone here to block that shade down the line. Adepts are rotating down here right now for the Protoss. The third is mining happily away for the Zerg. herO has built up a ridiculous amount of adepts in this game. He's also made some Archons to be anti-ling, which is why Dark going into Roaches is a very good thing for him. But this is crazy. This game feels like it's been longer than 8.5 minutes, because it's just been... This aggression was set up from the very start with that gas steal. And the players have been living with the results of that. And herO's done a very good job of keeping pressure on his opponent. Like, a lot of Protoss would just want to sit back home and turtle from a position like this, but then Dark would just counterattack or grow too big economically. And that just wouldn't happen. We've got a couple of roaches actually get caught behind these rocks. Dark trying to shut the map down a little bit in the face of this. The Zerg will have roach speed done soon. No baneling speed started. I'd love to see baneling speed get researched for Dark sometime soon, as it will be great against these mass adepts and stalkers. And looks like Dark is actually thinking of taking this another route, though, as he goes into Swarm Host. Something which we've seen a little bit more of lately from Zerg players, getting creative with these Swarm Hosts. Looks like herO finds himself a couple of Dark's Overlords. He does have them absolutely everywhere on the map right now. Like, everywhere, it seems. But still Dark is out on the map. He's got that roach speed done, so he's thinking maybe he can get a bit aggressive. hero's got quite a nice defensive position, though. Force fields going down, Archons, sentries are all present. There's lots of adepts for herO. He's getting out an immortal as well. Dark is planning on going into a Nidus Swarm Host style, which can be very strong. That's what this Changeling is here to do, although I think it will expire prior to that, so we may need to see a bit of repositioning. So Dark is just going to send these Swarm Hosts to the front, old-fashioned style, try and get whatever pickoffs he can, and this will put herO on a bit of notice, but Dark, the Mad Lad, actually goes in with the wave of Locust, but this is going to prompt herO to counterattack right away, as Dark invested his Banelings in that attack, and he didn't really get a return, and now hero's thinking there's no Banelings, and you've got a Swarm Host that are on cooldown right now, so this is going to be a very tough hold for the Zerg right now. The Locust surely will be able to connect once that cooldown is done, but there's just so much Protoss right now. Dark does have reinforcements coming in, a lot more Roaches coming down. I mean, the Adepts are doing a good job tanking right now. That one Immortal and the Archons are very important damage dealers in this game. The cooldown on these Locusts seems so long right now, but there we have it. They do complete the Shade. They're going to allow the kill on that Immortal and on the Archon, which is quite great for the Zerg. Meanwhile, though, there is Adept shading inside Dark's main base. Adepts are the killers. Mid, late, any stage in the game, you get Adepts in your mineral line and you will pay for it. So all in all, I mean, herO does get some good counter damage done, but Dark did have quite a nice hold, all things considered there. It could have been a very dicey position, and it was a very dicey position, but he did a great job with it. Roaches are cleaning up the Adepts in the main after a whopping 17 drones died. This is going to put Dark in a very compromising position, as his economy is just not really able to sustain more units at this point. We see herO trying to get up the fourth. Dark was trying to build the fourth at the gold, but herO actually killed it, I believe, in that fight, and he did. So now we're going to see a Nidus get thrown down as the Swarm Host try and get some counter damage done, and the pressure is going to be on Dark to get something done, because supply-wise, hero's going to take the lead soon. Like, there's a army supply lead for Dark right now, but his economy is pitiful. There's that Nidus Swarm. As these Swarm Hosts can pop out, we saw herO repositioning his army. He's like, oh man, where are these things going to come in? The answer is they're going to hit the gold base, shutting down a vital part of the Protoss economy, and looks like Dark is actually just going to right-click on that Nexus to shut that down and to slow down hero's economy, which was an absolute must. Now, the Protoss is counterattacking right now. These Roaches and Ravagers are doing what they can. Stalkers blinking forward onto creep on top of everything the Zerg has right now. Dark squeezed out an Infestor. It tosses out a Fungal, but there's just so much Protoss charging across the map right now. Another Fungal gets tossed out by Dark. I didn't even see him build these Infestors. He's trying to hold on desperately. The Swarm Hosts come back because Dark knows he needs every unit right now, but his economy is pitiful. His drones are not mining at the third. A Locust Wave does get tossed down as the Zerg is trying to make a miracle hold happen right now. Locusts are able to kill the Immortal, but Dark taps out. herO takes himself the 2-0 lead in this series. Really, really well done by herO. And now we're going to load into game number 3, where Dark either, well, he needs to win every map from here on out. There's no ifs, ands, or buts about that. It is showtime for Dark, as otherwise he will be knocked out of the tournament bracket that this is from. Big shout out to OSC for providing these replays, by the way. An amazing tournament lineup. But okay, here we are on the map of Amygdala. And let's see here. Dark, he's had a tough time pulling something out that will kill herO. I liked the Swarm Host creativity. Maybe that game would have been a little bit different had he not gone for an attack and just tried to drag it out with the Swarm Host. But, like, they're a big investment, and they didn't get that much damage done. Maybe the Zerg should have just committed to, like, speed Banelings. I think they would have been all right in that situation. Not that Dark was on the best economy, but that game would have been completely different if you look at it, because Dark doesn't commit in with those Locusts with his Roaches and Banelings alongside them. Keeps the Banelings alive. herO doesn't want to counterattack. Dark keeps his fourth and his gold base alive. and then the game slows down a little bit, but Dark has a good economy, so it's difficult to say where things really went wrong for Dark, as it does seem difficult to point at what Zerg needs to do in order to win. To win StarCraft, to win against someone as good as herO. I'm not saying like Zerg is weak or anything. At my level, at your level, at 99% of StarCraft 2 players' levels, but as a pro gamer, someone as good as herO, as good as MaxFax, they can look quite daunting for a Zerg player to defeat, particularly if the Protoss player is arguably better than them, or in better form, because, like, I mean, you just got to come up with strategies that are a little bit more out there, but Zerg doesn't have a ton of options for it, so, like, well, how should Dark approach this series? It's tough to say. Maybe a crazy proxy, something like that. Looks like the probe is really being a nuisance for herO. Almost gets a drone. That would have been world-shattering for herO, but it does actually cost him, for Dark, pardon me, but it does actually cost herO the probe, so really well done by Dark. And herO's actions do have little consequences. Losing that probe isn't great. Okay, so let's see what's going on next. We have got a hatchery on the way for Dark. Excuse me. I've had a bit of a sore throat like the past month. I don't think it's affected my casting too much because like I've just been more wary of it, not screaming as much, taking breaks, that kind of thing. But I finally did try like doing like a saltwater rinse of my mouth to help my throat, and I think that has helped quite a bit, which is good. Maybe I'll have to stop smoking a pack of cigarettes a day, something like that. I joke, of course. I'm much too cheap to be a smoker. Stalkers working away on this Overlord, going pew pew pew. Stalkers notably fire just a single attack, even though the animation looks like it's firing two out of its sort of eyeball there. Overlord does get killed. Amygdala does seem like a pretty good map for the Zerg as it's wide open, lots of Ling potential. So Dark can be the scary monster in this match, lurking in the night, and he's going to play, taking that into account, a very Ling-heavy style. He already fires up +1 melee on the way. It's quite a long time for this upgrade to come into effect in the game, seeing as how Lings are the first unit Protoss can make, but then, or Zerg can make, pardon me, but then you gotta wait another 2 minutes for that upgrade to finish at least. herO comes in with the Oracles, he gets himself a Queen for just some HP on one of the Oracles, gets 3 drones, that's quite painful. We've now got the Adepts coming on in. Dark is gonna have to really tighten things up here in order to defend. That's the thing about herO. He is always harassing. Look at that. Lings try and go forward, but no, herO knows. Keep the Adepts close to the Oracles to keep them safe. Looks like that herO did get a little bit too far forward, though, and it does actually cost him both his Adepts, because the Queens of Dark, very, very well done. Dark, incredibly well done, punishing herO by saying, you really walked the line, herO, by keeping your Adepts and Oracles so close to the front. My Queens may be slow, but they can actually shoo those Oracles away so my Lings can kill them. They did just allow one of the Adepts to get killed. The other had no choice but to commit to a Shade in the Natural, so that was quite nice for the Zerg. Dark is now lurking around with his Lings, really taking map control in this game so far. herO, though, is going for Resonating Glaive Adepts, but Dark having +1 melee is going to be in a much better position to defend them with just mass Lings than he was in the previous match. So that's really good for him. We're actually going to see a counterattack. We'll see if Dark is ready for this or not. His creep spread isn't that far out. He is pumping out just more and more Lings, so he does seem to have a feeling that this is coming. And there we go. He sees all those Adepts. He's bringing the rest of his Lings back home to defend as herO is coming on in. The Queens are moving forward. They are the buffer to soak the damage of these Adepts. Now the Lings go on in, and they do get a pretty good surround on some of these Adepts. They're going to shade to the third, but the drones are already running for Dark, so he'll just lose some mining time. He can potentially get those back to work as soon as possible. Queens shoo the Adepts out, gonna force that Shade out, and those drones need to get back to work on that third base as soon as possible, although we do see herO shading some in towards the natural now. Looks like they will get surrounded and killed. The +1 is massive on the Lings against this. There's even Banelings for Dark. We just really do need to see Dark get those drones back to work. herO, he's trying to do his multi-harass thing, and so far he's doing a really great job executing it, but Dark is trying his best to match this. Bit of poor pathing for the Queens, slowly going off creep, meaning that the Lings actually can't come in to clean this up without the Queen support, as this fourth base is being pushed. herO did fire up, or Dark, pardon me, did fire up another hatchery, and he does get a great surround on some of the Adepts that were towards the north, so he just needs to focus on this defense to the south, and he's doing that. He actually gets one of the Oracles, almost gets the second one. Lings are now coming forward, and there's more than enough Lings to deal with these Adepts. herO tosses out a Shade, though, to force Dark to pull back a little bit, kind of saving his Adepts bacon, that's for sure. But all in all, a beautiful, beautiful hold for the Zerg. I mean, if I had one thing to say, it would have been that I'd have liked to see the drones get transferred back to the third a little bit sooner. I think there may have been opportunity for that. herO did build another Oracle, but then he almost loses one of them. Meanwhile, the Lings are actually going to get a surround on a lot of the Adepts, and the +1 just helps them out so much against this. Banelings do get some connections, and it is actually just an okay trade for Dark. In fact, it kind of goes sour, as he maybe got overconfident with that +1 attack, as herO just had a lot of Adepts coming on in, so the Queens will have to react to this once more. Transfuse gets dumped into the hatchery as he needs to keep it alive. Queens do target down one of the Oracles. Removing that is nice. Now Adepts are shading in towards the natural. Banelings are chasing them down. herO splits the Adepts. Dark just doesn't have that many units. Things are going really south for the Zerg. He's firing up Hydras. He's got 5 hatcheries out right now, so the economic potential is huge for Dark, but he's being bullied by Adepts at this almost dead 5th base. It's so close to dying. Now he's losing mining time in his main, in his natural. herO is shading around. He's so darn good at this offensive play, and now the hatchery is getting close. We're going to need to see a transfuse, and Dark isn't paying attention, though, because he's trying to micro against all these Adepts, and he's just going to tap out as herO is able to take it 3-0 against Dark in what was an incredibly well-executed series. Dark was so close to bringing that back, but it just goes to show if you give herO an inch, he'll take a mile. And that's exactly what he did in this match. Really, really, really well done as herO. He lost a decent number of Adepts in this game. Again and again, his groups got surrounded, but he was just always poking, always shading out, getting Dark out of position, and that's what makes a really good Protoss player. And Dark, he just took that bad fight that cost him a lot of Lings. His macro might have slipped for a second. He was trying to build Hydras, which are much slower, but yeah, that cost him. GG. Incredibly, incredibly well done by herO. Ladies and gentlemen, if you watched to the end of this series, click that like button, leave a comment down below, and subscribe to the channel. You can let me know in the comments if like the video length bothers you, because I know you can kind of glimpse who wins the series by the video length. I could try padding it, but I'd have to record more videos to do that, because if you pad it with just like a black screen, unfortunately YouTube punishes that. If I was a big YouTube fan, there'd be a way for channels to like hide the length of a video, so then players wouldn't, like, that would be a very niche thing for competitions. It would help probably quite a few video game channels on YouTube though, but not showing video length may be something YouTube would never do. Yeah, so just let me know about that. Subscribe if you haven't already. That's the best thing you can do for the channel right now, as it is a new channel. Look at that cool Adept Frisbee throw. I really think they're Frisbees. I'll see you guys next time. Thanks so much for tuning in.